evening. You're tuned into Business Day right here on ET Now. I'm Avan Dabash. Let's get a sense as to how the market shut shop this Thursday before we take you through the top headlines. Well, a fairly lackluster session for trade, and you had the Nifty, which didn't even manage to hold on to the psychological 6,000 level. The advanced decline ratio also went in favor of the losing side, and the broader market slumped significantly in trade. The total turnover was close to 1.5 lakh crore rupees, and cement was a big underperformer. 59.68, that's where the Nifty shut shop. The Sensex off by 3 points at 19,663. Lots of big stories and market-moving ones at that. We keep you up to speed after the top headlines. A lifeline for PSU banks as the government clears fund infusion of over 12,500 crore rupees to help them meet their capital requirements. SBI, Bank of Baroda, Bank of India and Bank of Maharashtra are among the big beneficiaries, and banking stocks gain on the back of that news. The government pushes the pedal on divestment, gives the green light to 10% stake sale in Engineers India, which is likely to boost the coffers by around 800 crore rupees. Australia's PERDAMAN Chemicals widens its legal battle against Lanco Infratech, launches a damages claim against ICICI Bank that lent to Lanco's Griffin coal unit. PERDAMAN claims that ICICI Bank used unfair tactics and acted in bad faith. LAFARGE plans to sell 20% in its India arm. The stake sale is expected to fetch around $200 million, which will be used by the German cement maker to pay off its massive debt. Just after telling ET Now that he hasn't given up on Kingfisher Airlines, Vijay Mallya reassures his employees that the company has submitted a comprehensive revival plan to the aviation regulator, the DGCA. The Kingfisher stock hits upper circuit. India's #2 software exporter Infosys will announce its third quarter earnings tomorrow. Amid talk of a guidance cut, an ET Now poll sees the company's profits 6% lower at 2,225 crores despite a revenue growth of 3%. Straight to the equity markets, an uninspiring session is what it was, and by the end of the day we managed to shave off just mildly about 3 points for the benchmark indices. But where you saw the key pressure points, that was for the broader market. So take a look at the mid as well as the small cap index. They went on to end the day close to 0.5% lower. In terms of sectoral indices, well, it was the power as well as the healthcare index. Those didn't manage to hold out. By the end of the day, they shaved off over 1%. Apart from that, you had the banking index that held up pretty smartly, and oil and gas also clocked in smart gains. In terms of your index loser, cement was clearly your weak point. So the likes of an Ultratech Cement, Ambuja Cement really weighed down on the index. Most of our technical traders have also been recommending short positions on some of these candidates. Apart from that, BHEL was rather weak, order inflow concerns percolating, and Hindalco also in the limelight on the downside. Today, we started off the result season as well, so it was the second day. You had Syntex Industries, which put out a fairly good set of numbers. You had the profits, which came in higher by 35% on an adjusted basis, adjusted for a forex loss this time around. And the Q2 sales came in higher than what the street was expecting. 1,200 crores was the estimate. It was clocked in at 1,427 crore rupees. That's higher by 23%. As pointed out, a forex loss of 45 crores versus a gain of 13.5 crores on a year-on-year basis. Didn't go down too well with the company. The stock was down by just about 0.5%. Some of the other stocks in focus, you had the result impact playing out on Gujarat, NRE Coke. A great set of numbers post-market hours yesterday. Top line grew by 57% at 527 crores. The net profit came in higher at 20 crores versus a mere 2 crores last time around. And this time around, they posted a forex loss of about 5 crores in the second quarter. It was the revenue from the coal and coke segment which really doubled to 496 crore rupees. Ramki Infra got a big thumping as Ramki Infra's Pharma City got an attachment order from the ED. Ramki Pharma City assets worth close to 134 crores were attached, and the company said that they will be appealing this order against the adjudicating authority. Bajaj Finance hit a new high of 1432. The board will consider a rights issue on the 15th of this month. Arshia International, no respite for that one. A big slap on the face once again. The stock was down by close to 20% despite the management coming about and clarifying that the company is right-sizing by asking the 99 employees to leave, that all of the allegations of financial irregularities are false, and the company will be pumping in, the promoter will pump in 42 crore rupees. Apart from that, Bharti Airtel as well as Idea Cellular were looking a bit weak today as the DOT issued a demand notice for one-time fee to some of these companies. Bharti Airtel has been slapped a fee of close to 5,200 crores, and for Arcom2 it came in at 172 crore rupees. BHEL, it was a negative brokerage report. Citi had a sell recommendation saying that the orders from Indiabulls Power are in trouble and the company stopped the material supply to Indiabulls Power Phase 1 projects. Apart from that, there's a risk to their order backlog that we mentioned, as well as an order cancellation to the tune of 59 billion rupees. Some of the index gainers then for today, take a look at ONGC that really supported the market. In fact, it hit the highest level since May 2011. Tata Motors continued its upswing. BOB as well as Axis Bank held out in the session. But more importantly, let's find out what were the active puts and calls and how the F&O activity panned out for today. We've got Navneet Saluja standing by from our research team with all those details. Navneet.
Hi Awan, it was another day of profit booking, but clearly the trend seems to be on the upside, because if you look at the Nifty PCR, that rose to 1.03 and aggressive put writing was seen in the system today. If you look at strikes like 5700 put, that added over 8 lakh shares. You also had 5800 strike, which added over 5 lakh shares, whereas if you look at the call side, most of the strikes were witnessing shedding of open interest. You had only 6,000 call strike, which added about 3.2 lakh shares in today's trading session. And talking about the stock futures, well, among the Nifty gainers, you had stocks like ONGC and Tata Motors where fresh long positions were seen. Well, even the banking space did quite well in today's trading session. So stocks of Bank of Baroda, Axis Bank, HDFC Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, all these counters witnessed fresh long positions in today's trading session. And as you mentioned, it was clearly the cement pack which was under pressure after the hopes of freight hike came in. So you had Ultratech Cement, Ambuja, India Cements, all these stocks were down and short positions were being built up on the future side. And talking about the mid-cap space, you had Punch Lloyd and Aurobindo Pharma, which slipped in today's trading session. Short positions were seen, and on the long side, you had Unitech, Tech Mahindra and Suzlon, which did well in today's trading session. And talking about the participation, well, the turnover was a little higher than yesterday. We did about 1.12 lakh crore of turnover on NSE by the end of the day.
Okay, thanks very much, Navneet, for giving us all of those details. Meantime, it was the PSU banking lot which was in focus, as the government has given a go-ahead to a proposal to infuse over 12,000 crore rupees to public sector banks. Now, this capital is expected to aid in enhancing lending activity as well as meet the capital adequacy norms which are required due to stricter Basel III norms. About 9 to 10 public sector banks are likely to benefit from this, and the funds will be disbursed before the month of March. Now, this amount has already been set aside by the government in the budget for the current fiscal. Let's hear out Finance Minister P. Chidambaram talking about the same.
The unit assistance for providing a homestead for people who have no agricultural land or a house site is currently rupees 10,000. This would be increased to rupees 20,000. We are infusing additional capital into public sector banks. We will infuse before the end of this fiscal year a sum of rupees 12,517 crore. This will enable the banks to maintain their Tier 1 CRAR at a comfortable level, and they will remain compliant with the stricter capital adequacy norms under Basel III whenever Basel III is implemented.
Let's get in more perspective on what exactly this means and which are the banks that are likely to benefit. We've got Mrinalini Krishna standing by with more details. Mrinalini, we understand that the government has approved over 12,500 crore rupees. We spoke about 9 to 10 banks gaining from this bank recapitalization. Give us the names and highlight what exactly this means.
Well, the cabinet today has cleared 12,517 crores for recapitalization of PSU banks. 9 to 10 banks, as the finance minister said, will be benefiting from this, and this is essentially to increase their lending activity and help them maintain the capital adequacy ratio under the stricter Basel III norms. Now, finance ministry sources indicate that banks like Indian Overseas Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, Bank of Baroda, SBI and PNB are the top contenders for the recapitalization money that the government will disburse before the end of this fiscal. Remember, this 12,517 crores is much lesser than the 15,000 crores that the government had already set aside for the recap for this fiscal. The finance ministry sources indicating that they had assessed the bank's requirements, and they do believe that with 12,517 crores, the banks will be comfortable as far as their capital requirements are concerned. Apart from this, the government had also sought the exemption from going to the cabinet every time a capital requirement, every time recapitalization is required for PSU banks, because remember, rules say that the government needs to go back to the cabinet every time it infuses more than 300 crores into a public sector bank, and they had sought an exemption for going back to the cabinet for recapitalization up to 2018 till Basel III norms come into place, because the government knows that more capital will be required by public sector banks till Basel III comes into place.
Okay, thanks very much, Manani, for giving us those details. We're not going to let you go that easily, because today there was also the news that the cabinet has approved the 10% stake sale in Engineers India. The stock price didn't react too well. It was down by close to 4%, but give us more details on the same.
Well, the cabinet cleared 10% stake sale of the government in Engineers India. Remember, the government currently owns about 80.4% in the company. This 10% stake sale will happen through a follow-on public offer rather than the auction or the offer for sale through exchanges. The government is also hoping to garner about 800 crore rupees through this stake sale. The reason why the government is choosing to go for a follow-on public offer rather than the OFS route is because Engineers India does not fall under the two conditions that SEBI has laid out for the offer for sale norms, which is firstly the need for meeting the minimum public shareholding norms, and secondly a top 100 market cap company. Since Engineers India does not come under these two conditions, the government has decided to go for a follow-on public offer of the 10% stake that it wants to sell. Clearly, 800 crores is not a huge amount, but a cabinet nod is definitely a first step towards the divestment of the company. Remember, the target is 30,000 crore rupees. It's still very far from being met, but clearly the government wants to get all approvals as far as the cabinet is concerned, so it can push for all these issues by the end of this fiscal. Let's listen into what the Finance Minister P. Chidambaram had to say on the divestment of EIL.
Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approved the divestment of 10% paid-up equity in Engineers India Limited. Current holding is 80.4%. 10% will be disinvested. We expect to get around about 800 crore at current prices.
Okay, 800 crores is what the government will get from the divestment of the same. Thanks very much, Manani, for giving us all of those details. But moving on to more important stories, then the IT bellwether Infosys will be declaring its Q3 numbers tomorrow. The street is, of course, expecting a cut in the company's guidance. It was a fairly subdued day of trade for the stock. It was down by 0.3% by the day's close. But let's get in Sunita Nagpal, who joins in from New Delhi. She's done all the number crunching and is here with the details. Sunita.
Well, that's right. We are expecting a cut in annual guidance. That will be the focus as far as Q3 results are concerned. Nothing much is expected. We are expecting organic growth of roughly about 2% in dollar terms. Remember, this is the quarter where the number of working days are much less, and there was some negative commentary that had come from management that decision making is slow. So we are not expecting great set of number as far as revenue growth is concerned. Of course, Lodestone, which they acquired during the quarter, will be integrated, and we are expecting, after including Lodestone, the growth will be roughly about 3.7%. And as far as margins are concerned, we are expecting a 80 basis point decline in margins. Remember, this is the quarter where salary hikes had kicked in. But the focus will be mainly on the guidance. We are expecting them to cut the annual guidance, organic annual guidance, from at least 5% growth that they had said earlier to roughly about 3.5%. That's what we are expecting. Anything below 3% will be seen negatively. Overall guidance, including Lodestone, might still be maintained at 5%, but organic growth guidance will be cut to lower than 5% that they had earlier said. Management commentary is expected to be negative. We are not expecting them to say anything positive as far as IT budgets are concerned or the deal pipeline is concerned. We are only expecting a cautious stance from the the company side, and that's what we are looking at. So no great set of numbers expected from Infosys, and a guidance cut is given at the moment.
Thanks very much, Sunita, for giving us all of those details. So no great numbers from Infi, but we'll have to wait and watch when the results come out tomorrow morning. Australia's PERDAMAN Chemicals has widened its legal battle against Lanco Infra. The company has launched a damages claim against ICICI Bank that lent to Lanco's Griffin coal unit. Both the stocks were rather subdued in the session. Lanco Infra particularly shaving off 1.5%. ICICI Bank absolutely quiet. Let's get in Megha Chadda, who now joins in with more details. Megha, what exactly is PERDAMAN's claim here?
Well, in the latest twist to the long-standing saga between PERDAMAN Chemicals as well as Lanco Infra over its Australia-based coal subsidiary Griffin Coal, well, PERDAMAN Chemicals has in fact filed the latest salvo. What they have said is now that they're going to be filing a damages claim in the Australian Federal Court against ICICI Bank. And how ICICI Bank really fits into this whole picture is because this was the lead bank in the debt syndicate that lended close to $800 million to Lanco Infra to fund the Griffin Coal acquisition in 2011. And what PERDAMAN is saying that though ICICI cannot be a party to the main and the initial case that is undergoing in the Australian Supreme Court against Lanco Infra, they filed this one in the federal court, and what they are alleging is that ICICI Bank engaged in interference in financing of their Collie fertilizer project. They've said that ICICI Bank interfered with the security documents with regards to Griffin's obligation. That put a spanner in the works as far as tying up the financial closure for its Collie urea project was concerned. In fact, they've said that both ICICI Bank as well as the Lanco Infra used unfair tactics and they acted in bad faith. And PERDAMAN's claiming that so far it has invested close to 195 million Australian dollars in the project, and they are claiming damages for the investment they've already undertaken. Remember that the company has clarified that most of this investment was undertaken when the initial agreement with Griffin Coal was signed in 2008. But of course, once Lanco Infra took over Griffin Coal, we had the case in 2011 being filed for damages of close to $3 billion by PERDAMAN Chemicals.
There is an interference which by ICICI with regard to Griffin's obligations under our consumer law. This constitutes, in our view, unconscionable conduct, and that's hence we've commenced the action. For some technical reasons, we can't make ICICI a party to our Supreme Court action, so we had to lodge separate action in the federal court, but we expect that in due course that action will be consolidated with the Supreme Court action against Griffin and the Lanco Group.
Thanks very much, Megha, for giving us those details. Meantime, cement major LaFarge, which is looking to sell stake in its India arm, is learned to be in talks with global private equity majors, including Goldman Sachs and Carlyle. Let's get in Gauri Dwivedi, who now joins in from New Delhi with all the exclusive details. Over to you, Gauri.
This is likely to be one of the significant private equity deals in 2013. Lafarge's India unit is looking to really raise funds. What sources tell us is that 20% stake is on the block for Lafarge India, and the company is eyeing a valuation of about $200 million for the 20% stake. So you're talking about at least $1 billion as far as Lafarge India operations are concerned. Sources tell us that Goldman Sachs has also joined the race for actually buying this stake. Sources tell us that Goldman Sachs has held preliminary discussions with the management, with the company, and in fact non-disclosure agreements have also been signed between the fund and the company. It remains to be seen as to what really will be the final shape of this transaction. This is one of the larger PE deals that are up for grabs, and significant private equity investors are interested. Temasek has shown an interest as well. Sources tell us as far as KKR is concerned, it's not really that keen. The reason for that is it has stake in Dalmia Cements as well, and this is not really a buyout deal. It's not a buyout deal where it can, look at merging its two investments and creating a larger entity. So in that sense, KKR might stay away from this PE transaction, but Goldman Sachs is very much in the race and has held discussions with the company as well.
Thanks very much, Gauri, for giving us those exclusive details. Straight to the aviation space, and just a day after Kingfisher Airlines employees announced their plans to move court-seeking closure of the airline, the Kingfisher chairman Vijay Mallya has written a letter to his employees last night seeking their cooperation in reviving the airline. The stock price reacted very well to that and ended higher by close to 9.7%. Sumit Chaturvedi joins in to tell us if he has given any commitment when it comes to clearing the pending salary dues. Sumit.
After Kingfisher Airline employees said yesterday that they will move to court seeking closure of Kingfisher Airlines and selling of its asset to pay their salary dues, Kingfisher Airlines chairman Vijay Mallya has written a letter to them last night. In the letter, Vijay Mallya has sought the support of employees to revive the airline, and he has also explained the position of Kingfisher Airlines. He said that Kingfisher Airlines has submitted a revival plan with DGCA, according to which they plan to start the operation of Kingfisher Airlines with 7 planes in the beginning. He also said that UB Group will provide the initial funding of 650 crore rupees. Regarding banks and investors, he says that we are meeting with our consortium of banks regularly and keeping them fully informed every step of the way. Regarding investments, he said that they are in continuous talk with the investor to invest money in the airline. And regarding the cancellation of license, he says that it is not a big concern because we can come back and file an application for renewing of license within 2 years, and that's why it is not a big concern. And also he has told employees not to talk to media for any kind of solution. But there is no communication from Vijay Mallya as to when will he clear the pending salary dues of 8 months, regarding which Kingfisher employees are now planning to move court seeking closure of the airlines.
Okay, thanks very much, Sumit. We'll leave it at that. Moving on then to the oil and gas space, and a revision of diesel prices and a decision on the cap of LPG cylinders is expected today. This, of course, boosted sentiment in the energy sector. ONGC, for one, hit a 21-month high. Some of the oil marketing companies did spurt in early session, but they did temper off by the day's close. Chairman Sudhir Vasudev told ET Now that the move will substantially reduce the subsidy burden for OMCs.
It will definitely help in reducing our subsidy burden. I mean, as everyone knows, out of the total subsidy which oil exploration companies have to give, about 80% is the burden of diesel subsidy, and balance is LPG and kerosene. So if the way we are reading in the media, if 4.5 rupees to be increased in diesel prices up to this fiscal and 1 rupee per month in next 5 months. So if not this year, at least by the first half of next year, all these subsidies would be gone.
Moving on then, heading a business powerhouse like the Tata Group can be a daunting task. But Cyrus Mistry has the advantage of inheriting a streamlined business, one that needs very less tinkering. And that's exactly what Arun Maira, Member Planning Commission, feels. He says that Cyrus may not have to rock the boat, but only steady it through troubled waters. Krishna Kumar is here with this report.
Much has been said about the challenges that Cyrus Mistry faces in taking over as the chairman of the Tata Group. But former Tata Sons director Arun Maira, who is now a member of the Planning Commission, says Cyrus's primary responsibility is not to rock the boat. Maira feels that Ratan Tata has left a streamlined group with systems in place, something that Cyrus has to preserve and not disrupt.
It is a very diverse group. It's not 1 or 2 persons. There are many people in the group. So in that situation, it's not easy for someone to come and say, well, we are going to do it in this fashion. Now, this clearly has implications for Mr. Cyrus Mistry too. I mean, he couldn't suddenly say, I've come out and I'm here to fix it. There's no need to fix the group. So he's, I think, ideas that are disruptive completely or revolutionary in terms of how they would fit with Tata's.
Ratan Tata, who headed the group for 21 years after being chosen successor by his uncle, the iconic JRD Tata, is credited with transforming the group into a global conglomerate. Maira says that it's a platform that Cyrus needs to build on.
What Ratan Tata has done, and that's the great innovation he has made, to make this group come together, he has created his lateral processes on quality management, on sustainability. So I think this is a great thing he has done. He's developed a new governance structure for the group, and that's what Mr. Cyrus Mistry can, build on.
It will be a tightrope walk for the new man at Bombay House. He might not have to rock the boat, but he will surely need to steady a few ships which are in troubled waters. From Tata Steel Chorus to Tata Power to the much troubled Nano. Krishna Kumar, ET Now, Mumbai.
With that, we're completely timed out right here on Business Day. Thanks so much for watching. Keep it with ET Now.